The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham food bank in Beckton, who supply sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! Black friends from West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go!
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us. And as always, please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the notification bell and don't forget to click all for alerts on new content. As always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this endeavour. Little bit of housekeeping I always get out of the way. If adult language should offend you, then after you've subscribed and liked to the channel, you might want to disappear and watch CBeebies or something less offensive, because we might get a little bit potty mouthed at times. We don't mean to offend. We're just us. It is what it is. Premier League, match day 17 of 38. West Ham United take on Wolverhampton Wanderers at the London Stadium. Joining me to discuss the matters as far as this is concerned, my younger brother Ben. How are you, sir?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah. Sound as a pound.
Sound as a pound. Right, guys, at home, just keep an eye on the ticker. That will intermittently change at certain points with certain little bits of information that you might find beneficial to know ahead of the fixture, such as that, the officials for today's game. So, Ben, let's get straight into it. What are your thoughts on the opposition so far this season?
To be honest, mate, not. I don't know. They're probably a bit like Fulham, like last week. You know what I mean? I think they're not. Probably similar to ourselves and the likes of Fulham. That there's some real poor teams in the league. So Wolves aren't going to be a threat of relegation, but they're probably not going to be too much of a likelihood to get into Europe. So they're just going to float around mid-table, I'd imagine. And, you know, they'll do a bit of damage to a few of the big boys every now and then. Like they turned over Spurs the other day. And if you're not on top of your game, anyone can beat anyone. So I'm expecting it to be a tough game.
Yeah, I mean, looking there, the season so far, I've just got that up on the slide there. They're in 13th position in the Premier League with 5 wins, 4 draws, 7 defeats, average goal scored per match, 1.31. So they're not the most prolific side in front of goal, it has to be said. But having said that, on the positive side, where they are particularly strong, is defensively. They've only conceded 1.63 goals per match against our 1.88, with 2 clean sheets into the bargain there. So I think defensively, they're a team that we're going to have to really sort of be on our game to get the better of. But having said that, I think that offensively they don't offer probably as much as what a lot of other teams in the Premier League is concerned. I mean, look, as the home team, me personally, I don't think it's out of line to have the expectation that really we should be going after this lot.
Yeah, I agree, Rob. But, you know, I feel like that most games. And I'm not sure that we really do go after people that much, if I'm honest. But there we go. I think, yeah, from looking at that, Rob, they're obviously they're decent at home. Obviously, they've beaten City, they've beaten Spurs. So their home form looks pretty strong, but obviously we're at home. So hopeful that we can get a positive result.
Yeah, I mean, if you look there at the form guide, the respective teams that take to the field tomorrow, it's not sort of like there's not one team that I would say has a massive advantage over the other in terms of recent form. I mean, we've got 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. They've got 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. So it's not like massive difference in form going into this game. So it's a tough one to pick, I think.
I agree, mate. Yeah, I mean, looking at that, I mean, look, you can see that for both teams, the games that they've won or lost has only been by the odd goal. Do you know? Well, other than our last game,
other than Fulham,
yeah, other than Fulham. So I think the 2 games that they've lost, very difficult games. As we found, Fulham and Arsenal. So they've just about lost those games. If I'm honest, Rob, looking at the form guide, because I never actually see the game in Europe during the week, and I think so. I'm not really acknowledging that too much. I'd say coming off the back of a 5-0 defeat last week, I would say they're in slightly better form than we are.
I think I'd probably be inclined to agree that obviously that game at Fulham is a fact. Then again, having said that, I think that having watched the Europa League game against Freiburg the other night, I think the thing that I picked up on very quickly was that the omission of Alvarez in the game against Fulham was absolutely catastrophic to our performance. Now, whether we'd have won, whether we'd have lost with Alvarez in the team, we'll never know. It's one of those hypotheticals. But I do think that his omission in that game, that game doesn't finish 5-0 to Fulham if he's in the midfield. It just doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say, but I think we definitely still get beat. I don't think one player is going to change 5-0 loss. And yeah, obviously Alvarez is a key component of the team, but I think unfortunately for us, and we might come on to it, and we've discussed it before, is that our squad is extremely thin. Like once you get past that first 11. You're struggling to make a case for leaving anyone out, really, because the lads that are coming in are just so bang out of form.
Yeah, I've said this. I actually said it on the review, funnily enough, of the Freiburg game that I put out yesterday, and that was pretty much what I said. Is that I think it is an illustration of the fact that our bench there is a massive drop off in pretty much every position, I would suggest, except goalkeeper. I think in the goalkeeping department, I don't think that there's a significant drop off between Fabianski and Areola. I really don't. But then when you look at other positions, fullback, centre back, midfield,
I generally don't think there is one. I think they're literally exactly the same.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is that you look at every other position and there is a huge drop off. The 2 goalkeepers are very directly comparable. And I think that whoever's on the bench is very unlucky. Whereas every other position, it's like, no, you're on the bench because you're not fucking good enough to play in the first team. And that's on David Moyes for me.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, I think Moyes is, listen, the players have got to fucking step up when they're given the opportunity. But I just think back to sort of last week, Pablo Fornals was no worse than anyone else. And this is a lad that is low on confidence, needs a bit of a boost. And he actually looks all right in the first 20 minutes. And then he's the one hauled off at half time. So I just feel like he's fucking, he's going to be rock bottom, and I just don't think we're going to get anything out of him anymore. I think he's done.
Yeah, fair enough. It's quite sad, but let's move on. So, who is our opposition's key player in your opinion, Ben? And you guys in the live chat get stuck into this one as well.
Well, I think there's, like I say, I'm not a Wolves expert, but there's two that spring to mind, and one of them is our old, I would say our best centre half is Craig Dawson.
This fella here.
Yeah, the big this fella there. Yeah, I think I think it's going to be a real. If Bowen if Bowen's starting up top like it looking like he will based on the last few games, that's a tough opponent he's coming up against because he's Dawson's a lot physically stronger than Bowen. So I think we're going to have to really try and create something special to score tomorrow. But obviously, I also think that Juan He Chan, is it?
Yep.
I think he's up near the top of the scoring charts. To be honest, he looks lively, and I think they've got quite a few good technical players that we can't let them come and impose their game and start knocking it about because I think otherwise we might have a real tough game tomorrow. How about you? Who's your key man for them? Do you think?
We're gonna come on to that in a moment. Which West Ham player will be the key to a positive result?
I'm going to mix it up a little bit, and I'm going to say Nayef Agurd.
Okay.
I just feel like, I just feel like he cemented himself, whether that's by luck or judgment or other people getting injured. He's the first choice centre half. So we chop and change the other two, but Agurd is always in there. And I'd like to think we've got a clean sheet in midweek. If we can get another clean sheet tomorrow, then with the attacking threat that we do have in the side, we should be able to nick a goal. So I think the most important thing tomorrow is just keeping it tight. And so I'm going to say Agurd should be the key man tomorrow.
Okay, right. So now I'm going to answer your question. I thought I'd let you go first because I've got this prepared. I don't just throw this together. So this is the overview stats of the two players that I've singled out as the key components for both ourselves and for Wolves. Now, in the claret and blue corner, I've got a player who has 15 appearances under his belt, 9 goals, 1 assist. In the gold and black corner, I have a combatant, 15 appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists. But he's been part of a back line that has kept 2 clean sheets. Who is it, ladies and gentlemen? You've guessed it. It's Jarrod Bowen, and it's our very own ex-own Craig Dawson are the 2 combatants. I think you must have been reading my mind. My younger brother, obviously, you mentioned both Dawson and Bowen as 2 players that you picked out, and they were the players that I picked out, and we didn't have any dialogue about this. Ben didn't know these were the players I was going to pick ahead of time. He's read my mind. He's done it again.
Yeah, I think obviously there's going to be key battles all over the pitch, and this is going to be a key one. And I think we're going to have to be intelligent in our play because Bowen's not going to leap above Dawson in the air. So we need to be finding people in the pockets, little through balls down the side of the centre halves to try and get through them. And look, the signs on Thursday were positive that some of those little through balls were working.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still really annoyed that Craig Dawson left. Look, I know it was for family reasons. I'm a family man, so I fully support that. That's if he's got to do it, he's got to do it. But yeah, there was just something about Craig Dawson. He was a bit of a throwback defender. Do you know what I mean? He would put his body on the line time and time again. It didn't matter if it was right. I've got to stick my head there, and there's a boot that's flying in, and I'm probably going to take a whack in the chops. He'd do it. That was him. He wasn't the most stylish. He wouldn't, he's not Nayef Agurd type defender. Do you know what I mean? He's not a cultured, silky that sort of type of defender. He's an old school defender, and I think there's something about that I look at with a lot of I appreciate it. Let's put it that way. I don't think we've got a player like that, quite frankly, in the back line. I think we've obviously got a player a little bit further up in Thomas Souček that has those attributes. But as far as a defender's concerned, Craig Dawson was absolutely superb in his time at West Ham. And I think that possibly we only really realise actually what he brought to the party now that he's not there.
Yeah, no, totally, mate. And I think he was one of them that when the ball, he wants to win that ball all the time. And he you know, even like from a corner, he was a real attacking threat. I feel like, you know, we've got Ward-Prowse in the side, but I'm not, you know, I still don't think the sort of set piece is functioning spot on. And I think if you had Ward-Prowse, you know, if Dawson was still here with Ward-Prowse, Jesus Christ, that would be scary.
Yeah. I mean, look at the stats there. 8 interceptions, 22 tackles, 13 of them were successful, and he's had 71 clearances. 71.
Yeah. No, he's a great player. And I think that you know, there's no surprise to me that having lost Dawson and him gone to Wolves, that they've got a slightly better defensive record than us. But look, we are where we are. You know, it'll be interesting what the team looks like tomorrow. But yeah, you know, once that whistle goes, the love for Dawson stops.
Yes,
and I want him to score a fucking own goal and get nutmegged and get absolutely roasted. So
no, I don't want him. I don't want him to get humiliated tomorrow. I want him to showcase his skills, but I do want us to win. I want us to win despite that fact.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So you've mentioned about teams, and again, this is for the guys in the live chat as well. So please get stuck into that. What's your starting 11? So give us your formation, give us your personnel, Ben.
Oh, yeah. I think, like I touched on, Rob, I think the team is picking itself, really. I'm going to stick with Fabianski in goal. I am. I know we conceded 5 last week, and you can always go, oh, Areola might have saved a few of them. Areola is my number 1, but I just feel like Fab's got his little opportunity from a knock, so I'd keep him in there. I think Areola will be fit because he was on the bench. I think he was on the bench on Thursday. So yeah, Kufal. I'm going to stick with Mavropanos and Agurd in the middle. Okay. I mean, adversely, I know, you know, Mavropanos has come in, kept a clean sheet, and Zuma's last game we conceded 5. So I just feel like why change it?
There was someone
Emerson,
in a comment on the.
It's no debate.
I was just going to say, Ben, there was someone that put a comment on the review of the Freiburg game, and I looked at it and thought that's an interesting point regarding Mavropanos and keeping him in the starting 11. Do you think that his presence allows us to play a little bit further up the pitch than when we've got Zuma as the centre back?
Probably, yeah. I mean, obviously I didn't see the Freiburg game, but I think Mavropanos and Agurd are both pretty quick.
Yep.
So it probably does allow you to move 5 to 10 yards up the pitch. And let's be honest, that's what all the best teams play high line to try and condense the play and then move forward. So I think that would be the back 4. Again, it's kind of picking itself at the minute in the respect. In the middle, it's got to be Alvarez, Souček, and Ward-Prowse. What surprised me, Rob, is that the games that I've really seen Alvarez in, I haven't really seen him dribbling and passing going forward too much. And that's what surprised me in the highlights that I see from the Freiburg game, is that he was surging forward. So I think that, You know, if we can see a little bit of that and it mixes it up, and like Wolves are taken by surprise by that, then you know, he's got a goal and assist during the week. Let's let him have a free rein moving forward.
Fair enough. And so what's your front three? I'm guessing it probably picks itself, but
Picks itself will be obviously Paqueta, Kudus, and Bowen.
Who would you have as the striker though? Bowen or Kudus? Because I think they're interchangeable, really, aren't they?
They're interchangeable, Rob. I think I'd say I'd probably start with Bowen, but I think they can change. They can chop and change. I mean, it's not. I am a little concerned on the squad depth. So I think we really need to strengthen in January, because you know these lads are putting in a shift and they're trying their best, but they will need a rest at some point. So that would be my team, mate.
Yeah, there's a few guys that have got their opinions in. I'll just sort of get it back up again. Kent went, Fabianski, Kufal, Mavropanos, Aguirre, Emerson, Big Tom, JWP, Alvarez, Kudus, Bowen, and Pac-Man. It does pick itself. Now, is that a good thing? I'm not entirely sure it is, especially with the European. I know we've now got no European football till March, but December's a busy old month. And if we're just going to be playing the same 11/12 players week on week, eventually I do believe, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I do believe eventually it will cost us.
I agree, mate. I agree, but I think Moyes, look, I know there was a little bit tried to mix it up a little bit last week, and we've been absolutely stuffed 5-0. So those players on the bench, like, you know, Kehrer, I mean, this is a German international. He's hardly even come on in the Premier League this season. You know, this is a guy that, you know, I'd like to think if Alvarez needed a rest, maybe Kehrer could jump in, but he's just not even showing anything.
Yeah, I've often wondered. I know we've played him at centre back. I know we've played him at right back. And I've often wondered, could he do a job at defensive mid? And that, you're right. That game against Fulham, I thought, okay, let's see him there. Nope, nowhere to be seen. Ridiculous. And again, I'm not saying it would have made a difference to the outcome. It might have made a difference to the scoreline potentially, though. I think we possibly still get beat, but 5-0, not sure.
Yeah.
It's a strange one. But okay, so before I get on to score prediction, I'm just going to have a little look here on this little article I'm looking here. So as far as team news is concerned, so the only absence we've basically got as far as injuries are concerned from the report that I've got in front of me is the one we obviously know about, Michail Antonio. Other than that, it's pretty much a full-strength squad. Alphonse Areola obviously came back to the squad, as Ben referenced earlier, against Freiburg. So it's a decision that David Moyes has got to make. I don't really think that in the 3 games that Fabianski has played, yes, I know we lost 5-0, but if you look at those goals, it's like, what could he have done about any of them? I don't really think he could have done anything about any of them, quite frankly. He was let down by the players in front of him. So is he going to go with Alphonse Areola? Is he going to go with Fabianski? I think it's a tough call. I think he probably will go with Areola, and that's really harsh on Fabianski, but that's Premier League football for you. You've obviously got Pablo Fornal, Said Benrahma, Maxwell Cornet will be on the bench, I would think. But to be honest, like I say, they're on the bench because they don't deserve to be on the pitch. It's as simple as that. As far as Wolves are concerned, it looks like Ryan Aït-Nouri is going to be fit for the game. He's coming back from an ankle issue. Mario Lemina picked up a thigh injury against Nottingham Forest. That's not thought to be serious enough to keep him out of the squad, but it looks like Pedro Neto is not going to be involved. It looks like he's targeting a return against Chelsea, which is their game on Christmas Eve. Joe Hodge is still on the mend from shoulder surgery, and Johnny Otto has just been completely bombed from the first team squad. as far as that's concerned. There was a training ground incident, so he's gone. He's persona non grata. But Hwang Hee-chan, it has been referenced him earlier. He's got an 8-goal tally so far, and looks like he's going to be involved. So it means that Hugo Bueno will probably be dropped to the bench if Ait Nori is fit enough to start. And that is basically the team news as I have it in front of me. So the final thing we're going to cover off, ladies and gentlemen, and you guys get involved with this one, please, is the score prediction. Ben, talk to me.
I can see this being a draw, Rob. I'm very rarely, if ever, gonna predict that we're gonna lose, even though we might be strong underdogs. But I just think with the game in midweek Thursday, the fact that these players are the same 11s playing every week, I just feel like there's a lot of football coming up, and it might be a bit of a stalemate. But I'm just going to say 1-1.
1-1. I'm going to go 2-1. I don't think we're keeping a clean sheet because we very seldom do in the Premier League. Well, we've only got one in the Premier League this season. That was against a very poor Sheffield United team at London Stadium. Other than that, we've not managed to do it. So I don't think anything's going to significantly change. I don't think it's going to be a sort of like a terribly pleasing on the eye performance as a contest. I think that Wolves will cause us problems. I really do. But I think that our quality from the starting 11 is going to be enough, not necessarily the players from the bench. I look at a lot of other squads in the Premier League and I look at their benches and I go, oh, there's some options there. There's some game changers there. There's a little bit of stardust. And you look at ours and you just go, don't fancy that much. So I think that the players that are on the pitch are the ones that are really going to need to influence the game. They're the ones that are really going to need to make their mark, because I don't think that I think we had a hell of a clue in the game against, I think it was Palace, I think, if I remember correctly, which was the previous home Premier League game, where David Moyes makes a substitution on the 89th minute, the only substitution of the match. Pablo Fornal's coming off. I think that betrayed to me exactly what David Moyes thinks about his bench. It's patently not good enough and he doesn't trust it. But fundamentally, they're his players.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, the one that is baffling me a little is Cornet.
Yes.
Because Cornet, come on, set up a goal a few weeks ago. And then the other week, he wasn't even in the squad. He wasn't even on the bench. No. And we haven't seen him since. Even when we're chasing a game to get a winner, he don't even bring him on. So I don't know. I don't know what these lads must be doing in training. They must be doing so shit in training not to get a sniff off the bench for fucking 5 minutes.
Yeah, it is bollocks. It really is. I mean, I'm with you. Cornet came on against Burnley away. He had a goal involvement, and I thought he looked bright. I thought he looked sharp. I thought he looked like he had a point to prove. He had the bit between his teeth. He thought, right, I've got a little cameo here. I'm going to try and impress. And like you say, since then, he's just been bombed. I don't know. I think Moyes is just one of these guys that I think if he doesn't sort of trust you, then you're sort of like you're down the Kermit and it's fuck off sort of thing, which is counterproductive because that's a player that he's very, very what's the word I'm looking for? He's very versatile. He can play left back. I mean, left back for fuck's sake. I'd have on the basis of the performance, and this is not me being wise after the event. I actually thought it at the time. I actually thought that Cornet would have been a better option at left back against Fulham than Cresswell. With all due respect to Cresswell, I love Cresswell. He's been a great servant to the club. He's done as a Premier League player. He's done.
Yeah. It does look that way, mate. It does look that way. So, but yeah, we'll see. I think, like I say, it's probably going to be a familiar lineup. but we're off the back of a good result and performance in midweek. So hopefully we've shaken off any hangover from the drubbing we got at Fulham, and we can get back to winning ways, because this Christmas period, that's where depending on where you come out after this period, that's setting you up nicely to finish the league. So I think if we can get some points on the board, couple of goals and good performances, try and get a bit of dead wood out in January maybe, and bring some reinforcements in, then hopefully we can have a good sort of mid and finish to the season.
Fair enough. Right, okay, that's us done, ladies and gentlemen. And just to say before we knock it on the head, as always I do, please don't forget to like, comment on and share this stream to your socials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell icon, click all, and you'll get notifications of any new content as and when it's added to the channel. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you very much indeed for your support in this matter. Ben, I'd also like to thank you for joining me on this stream and giving your contributions, and to you guys in the live chat as well for getting stuck in as well. Cool. Right.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We shall have it on our toes. And all I want to say is, come on, you Irons. Let's hope for 3 points tomorrow at London Stadium. And please don't forget to support the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity. We'll see you next time.
The West Ham Massive are pleased to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham fans and friends inspired by the work of other football food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations for a Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supplies sub-distribution centres in the borough 7 days a week and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thanks for your support. Come on, you Irons.
Massive.